everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We're so glad you're here and you're able to join us. While you're waiting, please find the chat box and the Q&A box in the Zoom control panel. That's how you can communicate with us throughout today's call. Leave any questions you have in the Q&A. We'll either pick them up throughout the call or get to them at the end. And I am here with an all-star lineup. We have Barry and Dan Habib, Josh Metal, Edgardo Ballantyne, Tim Brahim, Darren Phillis, Jim Jurgens, and Josh is going to do a lot more introducing now. So let's kick it off, team.
Thanks, Diana. It's great to be here with everybody, and you guys are in for a treat. This is a very special group of mortgage advisors, and just like you, we are embracing this challenging market and continuing to figure it out. The last 3 months have not been easy. All of us have seen increasing challenges around buyers just not being as confident in the market, buyers being fearful with what's going on with rates. And this is one of those markets where it's just incumbent on all of us to get better. If you have less loans in your pipeline, this is the time to improve the systems, your system for selling, your conversations, your scripting. And of course, we're going to be going deep into the loan comparison tools today and all of the upgrades that have been made. But what I really want you to take away from this is not just the tool, but how these mortgage advisors are using this tool to create leverage and influence with their customers, and how they're using it to separate themselves from every other loan officer that their customer is going to be speaking with. So this is the time, if you haven't integrated this tool fully into your practice, I'm calling you out right now. This is the time to get better because it may not get easier. Tim, anything you have to add just in terms of like where we are in the market and leveraging this tool?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm really excited for the demo of this tool. I mean, I got a glimpse of it before, but I mean, I've been talking with Barry and Dan about it for many months now, and I know that they've been working very hard to create something that is like first in class to really help you, as they always are trying to do. So I can't wait to see the demo. But before we get to that, I just want to say that, what you do for a living, and you've heard Barry and I talk about this so many times, is at the end of the day, if we cut through all the noise, what we do is we present for a living. We are salespeople that should have a very defined presentation process that leads the client to an exact place that you want them to arrive at, that gives you the highest probability of success and the highest batting average, the highest conversion ratio. I mean, and right now, as Josh articulated, with as many people sitting on the sidelines, fearful, rates being a little higher, there not being any meaningful refi opportunities right now. It's like how many, what percentage of those people are you able to convert? That's where the needle can get really moved. So having a tool like this that puts you into an advisory role, that puts you, I mean, the number one thing that you want to get, team, period, at the end of the day is authority. And authority only comes from being a good teacher. I mean, authority is not granted, it's not gifted, it's earned. And what we want to do is we want to use tools like this to earn authority, to where people are saying, you know what, you're my guy or you're my gal. I trust you because you have displayed to me that you're incredibly educated and that working with you is going to be a valuable thing for me and my family. And a tool like this does just that. So I really want you to pay very close attention today and start embracing it, implementing it.
Well said. Great. Diana, I think you're going to give us a demo of all the improvements that have been done with the incredible tool. And then we're going to get really tactical on how Darren Phillis, Edgardo Ballantyne, and Jim Jurgens are using this at the point of sale with clients to create that influence that you're talking about, Tim.
Yeah, so let's just go very briefly to the site and just take a look at the tool itself, because a lot of you I see in the chat have been using it, but there have been some updates made of late. So where you're going to go first of all is under the Loan Advisor tab to either purchase or refi. And we're going to be focusing more on the purchase version today, but it's really the same tool. Now, a lot of what I cover right now is in this tutorial video right here. So if you click on that, it's a short 7-minute video, breaks down definitely more detailed what I'll show you right now. So make sure you take some time and watch that later because it'll walk you through really every step of the tool. And again, you can toggle between purchase and refi here. Now, under the client info, all we ask for at a minimum is the name. And I'll just show you a quick example here. Like we said, Josh and Tim and the rest of the team are going to go through their strategy and presentation of this. But here under client name, you can enter just that. But it makes it a little bit easier if you add the client's email as well, like so. That way, later on, when you go to send it, it'll just make it one step less. But now, when you get to the inputs, very simply enter the location that you're working in and a purchase price that your customer is looking at. And from there, pretty much a lot of this is pre-filled for you, the property taxes, home insurance, association fee. And then we'll select which appreciation rate to use in the projections. We always default to forecast, but it can be customized. And from here, if you wanted to add an alternate price to that same property, you can, or add a second property, and then you have our multi-property version of this tool. But if we continue, and then we start adding loan options. So here, if you add loan, go to manual, enter just exactly what you see here. So say we go with a 30-year fixed at 6.5%. Makes it nice and easy where you have this drop down in the down payment field. You choose the down payment, we'll calculate the loan amount, or just type in whatever number. The term, program, and type, when you hear us talk about adjustables, buy downs, things like that, you can change it in type or customize the program as well. And simply just add the rate that we added up top. Enter the number of points, we'll calculate the cost of those points. Mortgage insurance, a lot of this will be covered in the video that I mentioned before, so we're going to bypass that for now. But there are some worksheets on mortgage insurance, closing costs, credits, prepaids, and escrows. You can get really detailed on these, but let's just put some placeholder numbers in here: 10,000 for closing costs, 5,000 for prepaids and escrows, and then we'll hit add. So that's our first loan option. You can add up to 4 more. And to make it easy, you can even just duplicate one. So let's just say we do that. We duplicate this. We put, instead of a 20% down payment, a 15% down payment, leave everything else the same. Notice now the MI field is pre-filled based on a credit score range that we have set, which again can be adjusted. But just to show you 2 simple examples, we'll add that. Now we have 2. One recent enhancement we've made is you can now reorder your loan options rather than deleting and retyping to reorder. Simply take this icon right here and just drag to reorder. So nice and easy. That's a new thing that we've added recently. As well as investment strategy. This is something where you can add an additional principal payment, monthly or lump sum. You can start it at a specific payment, totally customize it. And then say maybe instead of putting 20% down on a home, you take half of that down payment, put it toward the down payment still, take the other half maybe towards some other investment. You can show, excuse me, the rate of return on that investment over time. And if you do add that, it'll adjust the results, so it'll show a gain over time in your equity graph.
And Di, I know you're not going to show the refinance tool, but as you can imagine, this is going to be, I mean, this is going to be in the refi loan comparison as well. And you can do things like reinvestment strategies with the savings from the refinance and such as well.
Yeah, for sure. Once you learn it one time, it transfers through any version of the tool. So it makes it so nice and easy. And then, of course, your co-branding, that's always great to add. You'll hear us talk about how you can use this with your referral partners as well. And then once you're actually ready to share this, you'll see this is your true cost comparison. This will show your customers exactly what they need to know. All the payment options, which loan is best depending on how long they're in the home with the same loan, very detailed payment graphs, equity impact over time. So this just gives you a highlight of what these results look like. And I'll just take one more moment to show, I think, my favorite way to share this, which the guys will speak to too.
And Di, if I might
Yeah.
add, one of the things that we do is we contemplate the amount of principal that's being gained in one versus another, which a lot of times that's not contemplated, and especially borrowers don't understand or realize that. For example, like if you did a buy down or a lower rate mortgage or something like that, how that principal differential can play a role in it. Sometimes people look at adjustable rate mortgages as an option there, but while the payment's less, they're not contemplating that because you are at a lower rate, you're amortizing the loan faster. So there's like a secret benefit that you're getting that we contemplate in here that most people, when they're doing a comparison, don't think about.
Thanks, Barry. Now, team, let's go to share this. And under your sharing menu, you can always share as a PDF, co-branded or not. You can host a live meeting right through MBS Highway where neither party has to download anything. Or you can record a video or send this as a link without a video. But like I said, my favorite way is with the video. So let's use the webcam and microphone. You're welcome to use your screen if you'd like and share your screen in this video. For some reason, my camera's not pulling in. I'll work on it in a second here. But once we share this as an interactive link, we should have our video attached. And for some reason, because I'm on Zoom, it's not working. But what you can imagine is when the customer opens this, what they would see right here in front of the results that you see would be a big version of your video that'll start playing. And if it was showing here, they can even play it picture in picture where it would show up small in the side somewhere around here, where they have your walkthrough that's super personalized right alongside the results they're looking at. And I think that's really important too, because there's a lot that's interactive in this report. They can use this slider bar where everything goes based on that year it stopped at, view the amortization schedule. If there was a reinvestment strategy, they can look more deeply at that. So a lot of that's really important to explain in that video. And maybe I'll try to come back later and show you, but even if not, if I can't, then remember at the start of the tool, it's all in this tutorial video. So give that a watch later on.
Yeah, Di, one other just small upgrade that I remembered that was in there too is handling like appraisal gap issues and such. And under the home information, you can add appraised value and things of that nature as well.
Yes, right here is what Dan's saying. Right under the price, you can add an appraised value if it's different from the purchase price.
Can I just chime in real quick and share something just from a perspective of just everyone's consideration, which is that, that the little things that this tool does are the things that actually are the separator from your competition. So Barry articulated in a really concise way that you're taking into consideration what a lower interest rate on a buy down or a 5 or a 1 would do in terms of principal acceleration. Most of your competition is not showing that. And it's when you incorporate these types of strategies, these little things that add up into your presentation, that you create massive separation from your competition. You look like a true advisor and somebody who's bringing value and giving them contemplative thought that they hadn't considered before. So I wouldn't want you to skip those steps. And as you practice this, and I think it's incumbent upon you to practice it, like if I'm in your shoes, what I'd be doing is I'd be creating several different versions for mock borrowers, and then recording videos, and then going back and watching your video and looking at it through the lens of that consumer and asking yourself the question, like, where did I miss here? What can I improve upon the way that I articulate this? The more refined you get, the more concise you get in your presentation skills, the more effective you're going to be, the more deals you're going to win. And let's not forget, as you all know, we're not winning $300 deals. We're winning $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 deals. So you convert one extra person a month by getting your presentation with this tool down to a refined science. Over the course of a year, we're talking about, somewhere probably in the neighborhood of $50,000 or $60,000 just if you get one deal a month. So make sure that you're really getting dialed in on the details and practicing using this tool.
Thanks for that, Tim. And one other thing I'll just add actually came up in the L360 group that you put together is, everybody goes after real estate agents, but especially with the reinvestment tool, was hearing so many people within the group that are very successful that are going after financial advisors, which is a little bit less of a target or less saturated. And of course, it's going to be music to their ears if you're handling the debt side of their household and everybody thinks, or a lot of people think, you got to put 20% down. You could show them put less and, hey, invest this money with your financial advisor. Here's an example of how much more you could make on it using that reinvestment strategy. So some ideas for some maybe not traditional relationships there.
And another one that we, speaking of the retreat that we were just at, Dan, in Santa Fe, when we were all talking about different strategies, that I think is one that everybody should be using this tool to do on the refi end of things. So when you end up talking to a client about a refi, the tendency is to just talk to them about the savings. And for some people, the savings isn't enough for them to want to move forward. It might be that it's $173 and they're like, it's just not enough, I'll wait. But if you can show them what I used to refer to as a same payment refi, you make the exact same payment that you're making right now. Reapply the $173 in savings to the principal balance owed. Reduce the term by 4 years and 9 months. Save yourself $63,000 over the life of the loan. All of a sudden, the needle gets moved because it's a big number and one that person is much more attracted to than something that they don't feel like is significant enough for them. So consider these types of things in the way that you present and refining your presentation.
That was a great nugget, Tim. And that's one of many nuggets that have come out of the events that you've led. Do you want to share a little bit about that program since we're already on the topic and Dan brought it up?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for allowing me to do so. And I'll be brief. So Leadership 360, which is my seminal coaching program that I've been doing for 14 years. It's the only private coaching that I do. We only take 12 clients annually. It's a very exclusive group. A lot of the people on this call, Josh, Edgardo, Jim, have all been in the Leadership 360 program, and certainly Dan as well. It's the best of the best. I mean, it's an opportunity to be in a cohort with high performers that you can learn from. And there are three coaches, myself, Scott, and Julie, that facilitate that program. It's a 1-year program. We are taking applications right now. The program starts at the end of June. We have 8 of the 12 spots filled. So we only have 4 spots remaining. I'll just go ahead and put a QR code up here in case anybody's interested in applying. It is an interview process. So I assume you guys can see the QR code there. Is that right?
Yeah, we
We
got
can
you.
see it.
Cool. So it's an interview process. You just scan the QR code, you fill out the application. Sarah will reach out to you to schedule the first interview. You'll interview with all 3 of us as coaches in an effort to mutually assess whether it feels like you're a good fit to be a part of the next group. And we can talk with you about all the details and share as much information as you need once you apply. So if anybody's interested, we would love to have the opportunity to explore with you and see if we can maybe help you in going to the next level in your business. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
before you move on, I'll just quickly because I'm excited to hear about how you guys are using the loan comparison tool in the real world and such. But I feel obligated to just say that I thought the L360 coaching program really moved the needle for me personally. You know, there's certainly a business component to it, and I think you guys see how Tim coaches and really cares about people, and the other coaches in the program are unbelievable as well. But it's like a more intense, consistent version of that. But also, I was surprised how much there was on the personal growth side and setting goals and being held accountable and achieving. And somebody like myself, I do well with structure like that and having somebody to kind of light the fire. And I've been pretty proud of a lot of the changes and improvements that I've seen both in my family and personal life as well as business. So I just wanted to say, Tim, I couldn't recommend it enough.
Thank you, and you should be proud of yourself. It's been really beautiful to see how much you've grown as a leader, how much you've grown as a human being, as a father, as a husband, all of it as a result of being in our community. And I'm super proud of you and glad that we're continuing to work together, bro.
Thank you, buddy.
super well said. All right, we're going to transition over to how Jim Jurgens is using this tool. And I want you all to just pay attention to how impactful his scripting is. Jim is one of those presenters, and I've seen many of his live client presentations, that the client comes in thinking they want the lowest rate, and they come out the other side of that sales presentation realizing that they need an advisor like Jim on their side if they're really going to become a successful homeowner. So Jim, with that intro, take it away, my friend. Show us how we're using this tool at the point of sale. I think you're muted, bro.
He does his best work when he's on mute.
That's what it was like in the L360. Nobody wanted to let me talk. So my first Zoom meeting, guys, give me a break. All right. So what I do with this is Josh, you and I are going to role play a little bit. One thing I love about this tool is right here at the top, and hopefully you can see my screen. It gives them the highlights of really what I want to cover right here at the top. Right. So at this point, this would be our second call with our clients. The first one is more just the discovery call. What's important to you? Why now? Help me understand how we structure this debt to help you become a successful homeowner. So at this point in the call, I've already gone through the real estate report card, gone through the areas of town they want to look at. I've already gone through the bond chart. I've given them an education on what causes rates to move. I've done our best Barry and Dan impersonation on how do we help them understand what causes rates to move, because nobody knows that. If you're not using that on your calls, I can't encourage you enough to do that, because it's going to make a game-changing difference to you, because every client comes into these calls asking the same question. Whether they verbalize it to you or not, they're asking themselves, what's the best rate? What's the lowest rate? And my whole goal is to get them off of that conversation. So this mortgage plan is a way that I use that to get them away from what's your rate. All right, so Josh, we'll kind of run through this. At the point we just got done with the bond chart, they understand what's going on. So Josh,
And
hopefully
Jim, these are all on Zoom, right? You're not doing any of these
all on
phone
Zoom.
calls.
This is no
Okay.
phone calls. I
All
don't
right,
do
got it.
anything on phone calls. Everything's on Zoom. It's all recorded, all transcribed. I have a sales coaching GPT that'll help me fine tune what we're talking about. All
Got
right.
it.
So Josh, hopefully you found that the presentation, understanding what's going on with interest rates, helpful as you try and navigate which options to pick. Now, every client has the same conversation. What's the lowest rate? They come in thinking that because we've taught them for decades, that's how you shop for a mortgage. Well, Josh, there's more than 30 different interest rates that are available. And I'm not sending you 30 estimates. You know, they're going to go from the lower the rate, the higher the cost, and vice versa. So as we look at these numbers, our goal should not be to get the lowest rate printed on someone's rate sheet. Our goal should be get the lowest cost of borrowing money over the period of time you're likely to have this particular loan. Not a loan for the house, just this particular loan. So as we look at this, I want you to keep that in the framework of your mind. So I'll come over here, and I like to start down at the bottom of this. So as you look at this, you're still going to see rates from the low sixes to the upper sixes, and you'll see a payment range here as well. So Josh, as you look at this, where does your eye immediately go?
It goes to the lowest rate.
Goes to the lowest rate. Now let's look at the total cost. Where does your eye go now?
Oh, it goes to the lowest cash to close.
Do you notice it's not the same option? All right. So
Yes.
as we look at this, we're going to look at a 2 to 3 year window on this particular loan. Right. So quick question. How much time do you currently spend analyzing the markets, watching interest rates to make a decision on what you want to do?
Zero.
0. Now imagine that you never had to do that because you had a team of experienced people with 2+ decades in this, watching the market for you, letting you know when it's time to do something different. All right. So I want you to keep that in mind. So we want to look at the total cost of this mortgage. You know, the payments are different. Let's look at this real quick. There's a $322 difference in monthly payment between the lowest rate and the highest rate. But let's think about the total cost. The lowest cost of borrowing money, if you'll notice, is actually the highest rate option because there's a lower cost of borrowing that money because the costs are lower up front. See the difference in points here? There's a credit on the higher rate option and a lot of points on the lower rate option. So the decision for you is, do I want to spend another $16,000 up front to get into the house to save $322 a month? So if the answer is no, then obviously the higher rate options are going to be what you want to look at. So knowing that we're going to be watching the market for you, right now we're looking at a 2 year window. We don't know what rates are going to do. So let's say it takes the rates 3 years to come down. Now you're seeing the lowest cost is actually option 3. Option 1 is still not the lowest cost, even though the rate is lower. Now maybe it takes 5 years. That's when you're going to see the lower rate options start to take effect and be more beneficial to you the longer you have this loan. So as we watch the mortgage for you, as we let you know when it's time to make a change, just know there's no guesswork for you. So let me show you how we do that. Now, that's a very abbreviated version of what we do. There's a lot more that goes into what we're talking about. At that point, we'll flip over to the strike rate, talk about how we do that, show them how we're going to manage that for them, what's going to happen post-closing. That kind of gives you a very abbreviated version of how that conversation goes. Now, at the end of that conversation, very few times are they like, man, I need the lowest rate. Because no one wants to spend the additional $16,000. We've
Yeah, you
effectively
pivoted the conversation to the lowest cost from lowest rate. So my attention is over there now.
correct. So now they're not as rate sensitive because they understand how it all works.
And
Right,
Jim,
so-
I assume in the lead up to you coming into this part of the presentation, when you're going through the bond page, you're showing them how we get rate lock alerts, how there's big swings, and how if you didn't lock here and you ended up locking there, you lost 25 basis points. But I'm sure you're also zooming it out and showing kind of the cyclical nature of interest rates and setting up the fact that we're going to analyze the total cost of this loan over 2 or 3 years, not 30 years, because we know the cyclical nature of rates, and I'm going to be managing this indebtedness for you and looking for those opportunities to restructure it. Is that right? Is that the precursor to getting people to understand the 2 to 5 year framework?
100%, because I'll go out in the dates we've been using lately on all our calls, February 27th, which is right before the Iran war started, and then going back out to September of 2024. We're showing them on February 27th, we had the same pricing we had back in September of 24. And we're showing them how everything works, how we're helping them capture the gains on the way up and minimizing the losses on the way down with these lock alerts. So that is, by the time they get to the loan comparison, they already think we're a genius because we're teaching them something that they didn't know, because no one I've ever talked to knows exactly what we're talking about in the bond market. We positioned ourselves as a debt strategist and manager of their debt in a way that they've never seen before. Now, does that mean they don't have questions about it? They don't look at the lowest rate? No. But that conversation is a lot easier using these tools than if I was just sending out loan estimates.
Tim, I saw you come off mute. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Very, very observant, Josh. So a phrase that I used to use that you could swipe and adapt, any of you, is I would always say to a client at the very beginning of my presentation, Josh, there's one question that's the most important question that we zero in on. It's the most important question that you'll ever be asked by a professional like myself when borrowing money, which is how long do I need to borrow the money for? How long you need to borrow the money for has everything to do with which loan program and the amount of fees that you should be paying. So we're going to dive into that now. I want to show you why that's a very important question, and we're going to arrive at an answer. Okay, then you can go into your historical graphs and charts that Jim just articulated, and I think that's really smart what he's doing, going back to 2024, showing what happened between then and February 27th of this year, and how and maybe even telling some stories. I have several clients in this particular month that I locked in on the downtrend, and we swapped out that money for cheaper money. So now you're starting to plant the seeds in their mind as to the fact that you're going to proactively manage their debt for them going forward. And when we have these fluctuations, don't be surprised when you hear from me and I say it's Jim and it's time. You can use that, Jim. That phrase there works. Actually, it actually has a little rhyme to it. And then you can start to tee up future deals as well with them. So the sequence of it is important. And I'll close by saying this. Remember what I talked about earlier? It's like developing a presentation. It's no different than watching Barry speak on stage. I mean, Barry's presentation is very refined and it follows a rhythm, and he takes you on a journey. You need to take your clients on a very similar journey that arrives or that lands them at the place that you want them to be. Back over to you, Josh.
Tim, one other thing that you have said over and over and over is that our job at every inflection point possible is to create separation from anybody else that client is talking to. And so asking the very simple question, has anybody else taken the time to show you the total cost of different mortgage strategies at different rates? The answer is no, right? So you might as well set them up and say, I won't make that mistake. We're going to be thinking about the total cost and the most effective price option over the time horizon you're in the indebtedness. And that you can kind of set them up from, wow, I wonder why nobody else taught me that. So back to you, Jim. Any other strategies that you wanted to show off?
Yeah, I'll take just a quick call. I started using this like pretty recently with a lot of clients who, let me share my screen again. I'll kind of go in here. You'll appreciate that one, Tim. So a lot of clients right now who are buying homes without selling the other one first. All right. Can you see my screen?
Coming up.
Okay, cool. So I've had 3 clients in the last probably 30 days who are buying homes and then selling their other one. So then they come back to me in our post-closing call with, hey, I've got all this money. What do I do with it? Right. So we started using the reinvestment tool as part of our post-closing calls to show them the impact of their money on their overall net worth. Because as part of our promise to them to be successful homeowners is we're going to help you increase your overall generational net worth, the money you're going to pass down to your kids. So if you come down here, and this is just another one I've created, and the detailed comparison, they had $600,000 available from the net sale of their house. The loan we did is this one. All right, they put 20% down on a $1 million home. And then they said, what do I do with the other $600,000? So I showed them there's really 3 paths. One, because they were like, my gut instinct says to just put it all in the house. Great. So I showed them that. Then I said, how open-minded would you be to looking at a couple different options and their overall impact on your long-term net worth? And of course, they're like, well, sure. Who's going to say no to that? So as I showed them, okay, the first one here is if you put it all in the house like you want to. This option B is put some of it in there and invest the difference, right? So we put another $200,000 down. I got $400,000 to invest. And option C, because the payment was in their comfort range, don't put any of it in there. Give it to your financial planner. So as you come down to the reinvestment snapshot, the gain in net worth, this gentleman was going to retire in 15 years. Notice the gain and the difference in net worth over that time period. It's nearly double. All right. Now, I know people are probably thinking, well, he's going to pay down the balance to get lower his monthly payment. Great. On that call, we can kind of go through and say on the reinvestment strategy, let's say you're disciplined enough to spend the $3,700 a month in savings. Great. You're going to have that loan paid off in 46 months. One thing to notice here, if you invested all 600,000, you'd have enough money in the investment account to pay it off in 37 months.
And you'd have access to the liquidity.
And you have access to capital, right? So then the clients are like, well, once I pay off the mortgage, then I'll start investing. Great. Well, then we're going to say, we're going to take that $4,900 starting at month, what is that, 47? We're going to take the full amount of the payment. And again, that's if you're disciplined enough to do this. And we'll come back out here.
I love these enhancements.
And it has a net worth of almost $500,000 more, just letting the money sit there with their financial planner. So and I tell them, it doesn't matter to me which one you do. My job is to give you options and advice. Your job is, now imagine, as Dan said, taking this to a financial planner and say, hey, this is what we do with our clients. They're going to love you because now they got $600,000 that they can now invest for that client. So it's just something that we've done on our post-closing calls with these new tools to help separate us as someone that manages their debt for them. And we're setting up the next loan and the next loan, not just this one loan for 30 days. That's
in the absence of advice, the only thing that matters is price.
100%.
When you start to fill that void with advice and strategy, I forgot who taught this. It was Phil M. Jones. And he said, if this is price and this is advice, you're focused on price. But if your sales presentation puts this as advice and this at a price, you focus on the advice. But it's incumbent on us to make the advice more valuable and more important than the price. And if you haven't developed a sales skill to do that, then we should be shocked. And they should go with the lowest price lender because we're not adding enough value to earn the business. Over to you, Tim.
First of all, I want to just compliment you on using moisturizer on your hands today. They look very soft.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That's actually all I had. No, actually, like what I would encourage you to do, Jim, and all of you watching, is as a part of your presentation, maybe you already do this, Jimmy, is when you're originally structuring that loan for that person, before they even close, I would be asking them the question, rate for me on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, your existing financial advisor, and the relationship that you have with this person. If they don't give that person a high score, if they say they don't have one, it's your key to being able to introduce them to one. Now you're making an outbound referral to a financial advisor. Would you mind? I have somebody who's outstanding. Would you mind a second set of eyes on this? I would love to send this over to a financial advisor that I trust and respect. I'd like him or her to take a deeper look at this and make sure that I'm giving the right advice. I'm pretty sure I am, but I just want that rubber stamp. And it might be a nice opportunity for you to work with that person in the future should you choose to reinvest some of this money when you sell your house. If they give that person a 9 or a 10, something very high, they have a great relationship, same script or very similar scripts, like wonderful. I would love to have an opportunity to present this to him or her so we could have their set of eyes on it to make sure that they feel that this is the prudent financial move for you, knowing full well that they're going to love you for it. Now, you just got an introduction to a financial advisor vis-a-vis this transaction that you're doing. So just something to consider.
100%. That's something we do early on in our original call. So yeah, that's something you taught me.
Jim, thanks so much. Love the coaching, Tim. Thank you. I'm going to send it over to Edgardo. Edgardo, I know you have been a ninja with this tool and really instrumental in some of the changes that we've, asked MBS Highway to do, and they've executed so brilliantly. Share with us how you're using this tool for maximum leverage.
Yeah, I'm just the biggest complainer, so
squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Exactly. So as always, I'm after Jim. So, thank you, Jim, for being so awful. Look. Beyond just presenting it to the clients, which I think obviously it's what the tool is for. The way I see it is, and Tim said it, right? Like most loan officers don't do this, not even for their clients. So if I'm going to spend the time and do this for my clients, I also want to show it off to the agents, right? Because at the end of the day, like the influence objective to present this to the client is for the client to pick me. But in the transaction, right? If the goal of every transaction is to get more than one transaction or to gain a referral partner, I also want to leverage the things that I'm already doing to gain this client for the buyer's agent and to gain this client eventually for the listing agent and also show it to the buyer's agents and the listing agent. So what I do is I have created a text message and an email that I send with the loan comparison to the buyer's agent and to the listing agent. And, it's just the same basic loan comparison or property comparison that I'm doing because let me go back for a second. The loan comparison tool also allows you to compare two different properties. Okay, it's not just three different loans, but two different properties or three different properties as well. So what I do is if I have a client that's telling me that they're interested in, looking at one property, property A versus property B, instead of just doing the numbers and sending it just to my client, I also send it to the listing agent. And I send it basically with an email saying like, hey, I have a client that's fully pre-approved that, it's interested in putting an offer in the next 48 hours in this property or a different property. I ran some numbers on this property and the other property that they're interested in, and I want to share this with you. And in addition to that, I want to ask you a question. Is there anything that I can do on the financing side to make this transaction easier for your seller? I'm going to show you the email, by the way, because I have the email typed out. I put it in a Google Drive for everybody to share or for everybody to have. But the point is, I subliminally want one for the agent, the listing agent, to know that, they're not the only pretty girl in town, right? Like my client is also interested in another property. Two, that that my client is fully approved, not just for any property, but for this specific property with this taxes, with this insurance, with everything. And three, I want to make sure that this agent knows that I'm very easy to work with, that the outcome is guaranteed. Like, this person is already fully pre-approved, and that I can, I like, what better way to over communicate than to communicate even before the offer goes in. So I'm going to share my screen and just show you the email and the text message that I send. Can you see it?
Gotcha.
Perfect. So this is it. Like, this is the email to the listing agent. And I mean, this is one that I sent a couple days ago. Hey, I'm the lender working with a buyer that's interested in this property. The subject line, by the way, has the property address. That way, they're kind of forced to open it because, that's the property that they're trying to sell. I basically tell them that they may get an offer in the next 48 hours, but that my client is interested in looking at this property or another property. And I attach the financial breakdown. And, basically this is what I use for them to pick which property is better for their financial goals. What this does too is I'm not telling them which property my client can afford. I'm telling them which property fits their financial goals best. So I gave them the financial breakdown, which is basically just the loan comparison, like the actual loan comparison that Jim just showed. And then just a video of me going over it because I want them to see a lot of me. I want that by the time I call them, they already feel like they know me. I want to make sure that my letter with my picture and all that is just, above the other letters. So I just want them to see me going over the projections with the client. So the video is not intended for them because that way, if I did that, I have to do a bunch of videos per transaction. The video is actually my video going over the loan comparison for the client. The other reason I do this is because obviously there's one property that's more expensive than the other, but while I'm going through that video, I'm explaining to my clients that whatever savings they have on the cheaper property, they can reinvest into the S&P 500. And if they do that, they're going to have this much wealth. So it's not like the cheaper property always wins type thing. And then I just say, and I put this in bold always. I'm like, please let me know if there's any terms of the offer that can be especially attractive to the seller, contingency structure, whatever. We're flexible in the financing, and I'm happy to make this process as easy as possible for your seller. I just want to make sure that the client, that this agent looks at this and goes, "Oh my God, it's just going to be so much easier to work with him than to work with anybody else." And the way I see it is, I want to be as close as possible to cash. So that's what I send the listing agent. I also send a text message to the listing agent, basically saying the same. And then I send the buyer's agent the same thing. But then the influence objective here for the buyer's agent is different, right? Like the influence objective is not just, it's going to be easy to convince my seller. The influence objective here is like, hey, I go over all of this and I don't even care if they actually watch the whole video. But my point is, I go over all of this so that if I can get the buy-in from the buyer that this is the right investment for them, like this is the right financial move for them, man, if the appraisal comes in a little short, like who cares? If the inspection, there's a couple of things that are going to cost $5,000, like who cares? Because in my presentation, I'm telling my buyer that they're going to be, they're going to get $800,000 in equity after 10 years. Like who cares about $10,000 at that point? So what the message I'm trying to portray here is like, hey, working with me, with your buyers is a lot easier because I'm selling them on the bigger picture as opposed to the small stuff. So I'm going to stop there and see if Tim
Yeah, I have a
has any
question for
questions.
you. So I love the idea of getting the buyer to think a decade or two down the road and not on the $5,000 worth of repair issues that come up. So I think that's brilliant. The strategy that you're employing with the listing agents, I'm assuming that the goal or the benefit with employing this strategy, because obviously it is a little more work, but the idea is Edgardo's reaching out to me before an offer even comes in. So you're catching them before, early in the process. You're setting yourself apart. And I'm assuming through your process, you're continuing to market to this listing agent. You're trying to bring them into your realtor strategy. Is that just kind of like the introduction to what you do throughout your entire process?
So it's, first of all, it's not more work, right? Like I have this email saved as a signature and I'm not creating a new video for the actual agent. It's basically the video that I'm sending my client. So it's not more work. And two, I only send an email and a text because it's automated, right? Like I have that text message like saved in my notes and I just like, plug and play. If it's an agent that I want to pursue like at a higher level, I call them regardless. And I call them if my client chooses their property, obviously, because that's easy. But even if the client doesn't choose the property, I call them and I go, hey, man, I don't know if you got my text. I don't know if you got my email, but my client decided to go with the other property that was in that thing. But it starts a conversation. And this is empirical experience. Like I don't have the stats on this, but because they've heard from me and they see me as, hey, this is somebody that they're, has probably like a buyer that wants to buy my property, the likelihood of them opening my emails, opening my text messages, engaging with me is a lot higher. And what ends up happening too is they end up texting me and calling me afterwards going, hey, it's been 48 hours since I got that. Like, did they ever made a decision? So it's just, it basically just put my foot on the door. And then now I can just, talk to them about this. I can tell them, hey, if you have other listings, I can do the same thing for your other listings. Like it just opens the door for me.
Got it. Tim, what do you got?
Well, first thing is that, I think it's a brilliant strategy because he's branding himself. He's putting him out there. A lot of real estate agents are seeing, his name, his face, and his professionalism. There's a couple of questions that I want you to answer, Edgardo, that are in the chat while you were talking. The first was, do you get the borrower's permission to send the true cost comparison to both their agent and the listing agent? And then I think part and parcel of that is, are there any privacy issues that you need to be aware of? I don't know if you want to comment on that, Edgardo, but that's something that's popped up quite a bit.
So I kind of tell them I'm going to do it. I don't necessarily ask them. I've never had an issue with that. I just tell them like, hey, besides qualifying you, like my job is to put your offer in the best possible light with your buyers, like with your agent, to make sure that this is as close as cash. Let's see, and I tell them this, and this is true in my market. 47% of the transactions in my market are cash. So
Wow.
I'm not competing with the next bank. I'm competing with cash. And I want to make sure that every listing agent, and really I don't care about the listing agent, every seller knows that your offer is as good as cash. We can close super fast. Like it's the same problem, which is just inspections and that's it. So I just tell them, like, when we put an offer, before we put an offer, every house that you want to even, take a look at, I'm going to do the numbers for you. I'm going to send that to the listing agent so that they know that you're fully approved and that they know that if they have any question, if there's anything that I can do, whether we can close in 35 days or 33 days because the seller needs to move, that's something that I can do. Like, I don't care. So I just kind of like tell them that. And I've never had anybody say, don't send that to the listing agent. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and there's obviously not any non-public private information in there.
No.
You're not talking about their credit scores or anything like that. You're just going over the architecture of the loans on the different properties they're entertaining.
Yeah.
I love the subliminal message that you're not the only game in town, and my client's looking at 3 other properties, depending on how, what the inventory level of your market is. But I love that strength and that confidence in that subliminal messaging.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, look, if this is really, which I believe it is, if this is really a difference maker, like, the bank in the corner is not doing this, right? Like, why am I putting this effort and just keeping it secret to me and my client? Like, that just seems silly to me. It's like, why am I just keeping this a secret and just sharing it with my client where I want to share this with everybody? Like, in an ideal world, I'm sending this to the title company that's listed in their listing. I'm sending this to everybody. Like, because if I'm going above and beyond, but only one person knows about it, it's to me is a waste of effort as opposed to
Yeah.
just everybody in the transaction.
Love it. Thanks, bro. Great job. Appreciate the share. And a question that I saw before I sent it over to you, Darren, earlier was somebody asked, I think it was when Jim was talking, is there a recording of the full presentation that you do? So at the end of this, I've created a recording of a live pre-purchase consultation that essentially follows what Jim does, similar to Edgardo, similar to Darren, and I recorded a live client call. I have their permission to use it, and I'll give you access to download that entire pre-purchase consultation. So it'll go over me showing this tool, showing the neighborhood report card, showing the MBS tracking, and overcoming the objections of the client. So I just wanted to add that. Darren, with that, over
Yeah,
to you.
we all
my friend.
copied you, Josh.
We're all copying each other. I mean, really, the iron sharpens iron, and I love that about the Loan Atlas is nobody's trying to keep their best conversion tactics a secret. We're sharing with each other and then trying to up level from there.
What to that point, Josh, one of the first things that I learned from you in the Loan Atlas is you don't need an appointment to meet a realtor at an open house.
Yeah, baby.
And when I started the career here and listening to you and Tim's teaching and everybody else, I was like, okay, how do I get in front of them? And, I was a little timid doing this stuff coming from a different industry. And I'm like, well, how can I kind of break the ice with these agents and give myself some confidence? So I would walk into these open houses with a gift bag and I'd make some silly little things here because I come from a creative space, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but
Yeah,
congrats, you've received the least boring lender drop by of the week. Probably. Because let's call a spade, right? We're going to come in. And I've got a whole bunch of these different things. Let's try to make it fun. Contents may cause better buyer questions, cleaner offers, and fewer financing surprises. And there's a little tag here I put on it that's personalized with their name on it, handwritten. You can't really see it because of the Zoom quality here. But whatever. And I'm going to make this all available for everybody so everybody can swipe and adapt. And inside this toolkit, what I put in is some snacks and things like that. But the most important part of it is the content that's in this envelope. Okay. And I call this the Agent Open House Toolkit. And inside of that are a lot of the tools that I use from MBS Highway. So I show the agent, I walk in and go, hey, Bob, it's just Darren. I'm your local mortgage professional, and I brought you a gift. And they see these bright bags. They're like, you brought me a gift? I'm like, yeah, man, I brought you a gift. You're out here like serving the community and your client, and you got a bunch of strangers walking in this house, the least I could do is bring you some popcorn, an energy bar, and some sparkling water. And that breaks the ice and lowers sales resistance right away. I go, look, I've got all this stuff for you, but the most important thing I have for you is in this envelope. And if there's nobody in the house, I'll pull it out and I'll start, here's the real estate report card. Have you ever seen this before? No, what is that? Tell me about it. We go over it. Hey, have you ever seen this cost of waiting report before? How this works? Oh my gosh, no, what is that about? Tell me about it. And I go over it with him. I go, hey, look, I've noticed this condo's been on the market for 110 days. And, I've already seen that you've reduced the price by $10,000 once. Would it help you if I showed you a way that where instead of taking a price reduction, you could solve the affordability crisis that we're having right now? And they'll look at me and they go, well, yeah, what are you talking about? Nobody's ever talked to them, by the way, when they walk in, because they'll walk in with a water or they'll walk in with the rates or their flyer, but they're not coming in with these tools at this level of expertise. Not once have I ever encountered that. And every single agent, by the way, all of my referral partners every single one of them have spawned from this strategy. So whether it's getting me in with the team, like I will stalk the heck out of these guys until I get to the team lead. And then from there, it trickles down to the rest of the team. And then I'm just like targeting every single one that I want to have relationships with. So I know we're short on time, so I just wanted to share that with you. This is so powerful to walk in with these tools and use these. And I love the upgrades that were made to this because I talked to them about, hey, if the client were to reinvest, the team has already done a fantastic job of explaining this. I don't need to go over again, but I talked to them about this. Nobody ever talks to agents like this, ever. So I encourage all of you to use these tools religiously, master them, and go out and meet people to grow your business and serve your clients at the highest level possible.
Darren, just real quickly, question on the team that you said you became referral partners with through this. Tell us just a little bit about that team and that first meeting that you met them at an open house.
Yeah, so this one I walked in. It's a funny story. I walked in. Well, I think it's a funny story. I walked in with my wife, my mother-in-law, and my daughters. I'm like, hey, you want to see what Daddy does on a Sunday? And so we walked in, and I had meant to meet one of the lead sales people that I knew that was going to host this open house in West LA. And it so happened, my wife is from Mexico City, and my mother-in-law is from Mexico City. My mother-in-law doesn't speak any English at all. And we walk in, and I was going to meet this middle-aged white guy. And there happened to be this young lady from Honduras. And I could tell right away from her accent, she wasn't from here. And so my wife immediately engaged with her, and we started talking, invited her to lunch, showed her these tools at the open house. And she was newer to this industry. She has since become the #1 sales agent on this team.
Wow.
My top referral source, because since day one, I've been teaching her mortgage strategies and teaching her how to win listings and all of the things. So I'm helping her grow her business through using tools like this. In reciprocity, she's helping me grow my business by sending me every single person she meets. Like, it doesn't matter where they come from. I'm getting a conversation with every listing because sellers are buyers. I'm getting a conversation with every Zillow lead, with every open house, everybody. She's booking them on my calendar. Like, dude, she's doing the things that I taught her because I got her young in her career and she was hungry. It must be the foreigners at Edgardo. There's something about they just crush it. They really do. It's phenomenal. Now I'm working with another person. She's from France. So I mean that in jest, but for real, like people that come from different culture are like, they're hungry. And it's been really, really phenomenal to grow with them and them to grow with me.
If there was ever a time to do the work, the time is now. And kudos to you for actually getting out and creating value for those agents by bringing these tools. And team, this is what we teach inside the Loan Atlas. There's 100 of these strategies that people are using to create business right now in the same challenging environment that all of you are in. So I'm going to answer just a few questions about the Loan Atlas, and then maybe we can hang around for some questions, and then I'll give you that free gift that I mentioned, which is the download of the video of me doing a full pre-purchase consultation with an actual client. So if you guys can hang out, let's hang out for a second and do Q&A. I believe the only easy day in the mortgage industry was yesterday. And I believe the road ahead is likely to be challenging. And the reason that I came to that conclusion is this. In the 1980s, mortgage interest rates peaked at 18.5%. They then went down to 2.5%. So we saw a 16% reduction in mortgage rates over that 40-year period of time. I think it's really unlikely that interest rates go down 16% from here because we'd be at negative 10%. And that just tells me that the path ahead is likely to be more challenging than the previous 40 years. And that means we have to get better. These guys are adapting to these tools, using them creatively. They're going out and doing the work, going to open houses. It's the success that we desire is not going to happen by accident. And at the Loan Atlas, we're trying to create every advantage possible for you to succeed in this environment. One of the tools that we've recently launched is the AI Sales and Scripting Coach, helping you to confidently overcome the toughest objections from clients that we're all getting every day. Imagine what it would be like to have Tim Brahim in your back pocket as a scripting coach every time you got an objection, like how could, or want your sales call to be reviewed and analyzed and coached on what you could be doing better. This GPT, which we call the Sales and Scripting Coach, handles objections, role plays tough calls with you, helps you refine your scripts, review and improve. Like you can copy a transcript from a Zoom meeting, you can copy a transcript from a live call, and it will live coach you as if Tim Brahim was there giving you advice. Kim Brazier said that she picked up $2.9 million in new loans since using this tool. I just went in this morning and I put in a scenario. Hey, I have a pre-approved client. Now they're rate shopping me. It asked me a couple of questions, and here's the scripting that it came up with. So they gave me a short version and a long version. So I'm trying, the influence objection is to, now I've got somebody rate shopping me. How do I get them to a Zoom meeting to have this pre-purchase consultation, to have this impactful training? So the scripting came out as totally, this is the scripting to the borrower, totally makes sense to compare numbers. Just out of curiosity, when you're looking at these worksheets, are any of these lenders showing you how to structure your offer so the seller actually subsidizes your payment for the first couple of years? Obviously, the answer is no, right? The only reason I asked is because this strategy doesn't show up on a fee worksheet. So if you're just comparing fee worksheets, you're not going to see this strategy, but it can save you significantly more than slightly lower rate. If I could show you how that works and what it does for your payment, would you be open to a quick 20 to 30 minute Zoom? Or it gives you a longer version. And these can be turned into emails. It can be scripts that you can use. You can turn them into text. It'll give you coaching notes, and then it'll give you links to the resources inside the Loan Atlas where we teach these strategies in more depth. It has access to over 200 training modules, all of the live events we've ever done, all the podcasts that Tim has done with the faculty members. This tool, we get more feedback that I lost a deal and got a deal back by using this scripting coach than any other tool that we have created. It's something that you should have in your arsenal today. The next tool that we created and launched that I think everybody needs to have, because when you're trying to learn a new skill, you need to have a plan around that. We need to go from chaos to clarity as originators. And if you're trying to adopt a new skill set, learn new tools, do things like open house strategies, you need to have an actual business and life plan around that product. Jennifer Hawkins says, I've been using business planning tool for a little over a year. For me, it's been the best goal setting and achieving system I've used both personally and professionally. The first thing that you're going to do when you go into the business and life coaching tools, you're going to take a 40-question assessment, and it's going to tell you across the eight disciplines of origination mastery, how do you score? And if you're low on a system for selling, out of 25 points, you scored 16, then that's where you need to spend your time honing your craft and your skills. Then it's going to help you write goals and action items. And it's going to show you exactly how to write high impact goals. For example, I'm mastering a sales presentation, significantly improving my batting average and my point of sale to increase my production by a minimum of 25%. That's the goal it helped me write. And here's the specific action items that we're going to employ to get there. We have to go from hoping it gets easier and just expecting phone calls to come in to creating a strategy that we execute around. So you move from wherever you are now to the level of skill that these guys have showed today. That's the AI sales, that's the AI business and life planner tool, all included in the Atlas. 7 live coaching calls every month inside the Loan Atlas from 29 faculty members that have written over $29 billion in production. We talk about these things that we talked about today every week inside the Loan Atlas. Over 200 live training modules from Tim and the rest of the 19 faculty members. Tim's proprietary perfect loan process, how to make sure you get out of the chaos and get to clarity in your business. The key to that is having loans not blow up. That's what we teach in the perfect loan process. I mentioned the AI sales and scripting coach. We've also created a health mindset and vitality coach. If you're burnt out in this industry, if you're feeling like you might want to get out, learn something new, get inspired, get on a program. The health mindset and vitality coach was created for that. And then of course, talk to Tim. This is a 60 to 90 minute session with Tim, small group format. It's done once a month, the last Friday of every month. You get to bring your challenges, your obstacles, the opportunities that you're wondering how to capitalize on, and get live feedback from Tim on how he can coach you. And where the rubber meets the road is the results. The median LO wrote $5.6 million in volume over the previous 12 months. The average Loan Atlas member wrote 13.8 million in volume, which is a difference of $8.2 million in volume or $82,000 in commission. I'll just go back to the Jim Rohn quote. This is the time to not wish it were easier, but wish you were better, and take tactical steps to get better. Because if you want to move the needle, we have to be learning new skills. We have to have a community of people. Iron sharpens iron. And we really would love you to be a part of this community and taking control, dominion of your business and of your life, despite all the challenges that we're all going through. So in an effort to have you join us inside the Loan Atlas, we've bundled the Loan Atlas membership with Home Report, because I believe Home Report is the #1 tool for getting your past client database back in communication with you and continuing that advice commitment for life. The Home Report is $169 a month. It comes to the client every month with the property address, a beautiful display of the equity the client's building, potential refinance options inside the Home Report, and it has like an 83 or 84% open rate. So it's the cheapest way to stay in continuity and communication with past clients. So bundling these two things together is incredibly valuable. The standard price for those two tools is $518. We've given an incredible discount at $269 a month for both tools. It is an annual subscription, paid monthly, and anybody who wants to join the Loan Atlas by June 1st, we'd love to help you. We'd love to help you hone your skills and to overcome the challenges that we are all experiencing. You can scan the QR code or go to theloanatlas.com/2026 to get access there. By the way, when you get there, you'll notice that it shows the full price, and then it gives you a coupon and then gives you your final price. So just note that all that information is in there. You can also prepay the membership for a year, and it gives you an additional discount. And then the last thing that I told you that I'd give you guys is a free gift. This is a live, it's about a 45-minute call with a young couple who was moving from their current home to a new home. And they were nervous. They were nervous about rates. They were nervous about making a bad financial decision and losing all the equity they built in their current home. They had family members who had given them a bunch of fear advice. And this is me connecting with them, showing up and listening, and then using all the MBS Highway tools to address those concerns and separate myself from somebody just giving a fee worksheet. So I think you'll find the scripting in here, I think you'll find very, very helpful. You can scan the QR code or go to theloanatlas.com PPC. Tim, over to you. I know we're at about time. Where do you want to take it from here?
Well, there's just one question that I wasn't 100% sure of the answer of, and maybe you are, which is or a couple of people asked if they already have home report, how much is it to just have the loan atlas? And I think that the price is $229, but I'm not 100% sure. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Yes.
Okay, so it's $229 if you already have home report, and good job with having it because it's an incredible tool. I'm here to just answer questions about coaching people. I mean, that's what I'm always here for. So anybody that has questions on how they can improve and need help within their business, happy to stick around for a little bit. And Dan, I saw you come on camera. Barry, I don't know if you guys have anything you wanted to say.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I thought that was a ton of value, guys, and an amazing call as always. I really loved each and every one of your strategies using the tools in Highway, and specifically the loan comparison, true cost comparison there. So thanks as always for just bringing the value, and I could see through the comments that people really enjoyed it.
Yeah, just really enjoyed it, and watching you guys go through it and the practical use of it. No wonder why you guys are producing at a high level, and no wonder why the people you coach produce at a high level. This is just real life, what people should be doing right now. And thank you for showcasing a lot of the tool that can help them do that. But really, the coaching is what's magical.
How can we help people? What questions do you all have that you need any blanks filled in your business? We're trying to do our best to answer the questions in the chat, but we may have missed a few.
Yeah, I saw some earlier, but while we're waiting for more to come through, I agree this was fantastic. So thank you all so much for everything you've shared and all the free goodies that you're offering. They're actually all going to be emailed to you later on this afternoon, along with the recording from this call. So if you missed anything, no worries, it'll all be in that email. And just to be clear on the bundle, the Loan Atlas Home Report bundle, a lot of you are saying you might be a member of one or the other. It is for new members, but email me anyway, Diana@mbshighway.com. We'll make sure we get you the best option for whichever product or products you don't have. There was one question on Loan Atlas coaching in particular, and although we can't say enough positive things about it, I'll let you guys speak to it. Someone was asking if there's coaching to help with accountability and things like that. I know there is, but if you want to get more specific and let everybody know.
Well, I mean, one-on-one coaching is an entirely different business model from a coaching company perspective. So if what the person is talking about is having a true one-on-one accountability coach, you could reach out to us at the same link that was provided earlier for Leadership 360, and we do have coaches on our team that you can talk with and evaluate whether or not it feels like a good fit. Within the Loan Atlas platform, the accountability is, first of all, the business and life planning tool holds you accountable. You can set reminders that drive action items into your inbox or to your text, to your phone via text, reminding you to do certain activities. And then, of course, coming to the live coaching calls, of which there are 7 of them a month, including my forum, the final Friday of every month, Talk to Tim Live, and the office hours we do every Wednesday. You can get plenty of mentorship and guidance there. But true, like one-on-one accountability coaching is a different business model, and reach out to us and we can share with you more about that.
And again, I just saw a lot of questions on the tools that we showed today. Of course, the loan comparison tool, a lot of that will be answered in the video that you saw at the top of the page there. And of course, if you need anything else, you email us, support@mbshighway.com. Our team will walk you through. And there was a question on buy downs. Forgive me if I missed this. I was feverishly answering messages in the chat. So you might have answered this already, but a question about a 1.0 buy down at, say, a 0.75% higher rate through the length of the 30 years, if it's a good option, because customers might be nervous right now that they cannot refinance to a lower rate in the future after that initial period. So I don't know if you wanted to speak to any strategy on buy downs.
Yeah, first of all, I try to strike the word buy down from my vernacular. And the first reason is because as soon as I say buy down, I can be shocked. So I refer to that as a seller paid payment subsidy. Diana, has anybody taken the time to explain to you how the seller of a property that you buy can help you subsidize your mortgage payment for the first 1, 2, or 3 years?
No.
Huh. I'm sorry for that. That's something we should explore, right? And then you create that curiosity. Now, what am I trying to do with that question? I'm trying to get you to a Zoom meeting. And I'm trying to get you to, everybody is interested in their payment being subsidized for up to the first 3 years. So that's the first thing that I've mentioned. The other thing is I'm explaining that seller payment subsidy program. I'm talking to them about, let's talk a little bit about your job and your income. do you typically get annual wage increases? The national average right now is around 3 to 4%. Is that something that you see in your job?
Yes.
Great. So if they're making $100,000 a year and they're getting 4% annual increases, then they're getting about a $350 increase in income every year. And so I'll talk to them and say, this is a graduated payment, graduated payment program. You should anticipate your payment going up, but your income will likely go up as well. Now, we're going to have a strike rate set for you. I show them that tool in MBS Highway. I also go into my email, and I teach this in the pre-purchase consultation that I gave for everybody to download. I literally went into my email and I searched strike rate, and I showed them all the alerts. And this is how I manage thousands of clients' mortgages through automation and AI, because I'm watching my clients' loans 24/7, 365, all the time for any opportunity to restructure that indebtedness that's going to save you money. So while it is true that I will be managing and watching for the strike rate that we determined, you should also be prepared that if that opportunity doesn't present itself and the payment does increase, that some of the income increases that you get over the next 3 years needs to offset that payment. So don't go spend that money because you need to be anticipating that higher payment. So I think we just need to script through it and let them know you're going to be getting wage increases as your mortgage payment goes up while I'm watching for the strike rate to hit.
Really well said.
Let me tackle like several questions that I've seen in the chat here just very recently and see if I can kind of summarize all of them. So there's questions in here such as, what do you say to a real estate agent who says that they can't advertise buy down strategies on the MLS? I heard when Edgardo was talking, what do you say to a buyer's agent who doesn't want you contacting the listing agent? Um, here's what I would say, and I don't mean to be curt, but I'm going to be direct with it. All of these are excuses. They're excuses that you as an originator are coming up with and reading into, and they're excuses, more importantly, by the agents that are saying that they can't do this or they can't do that. They don't want to do what's uncomfortable to them. Until which time you make a compelling case as to why doing something new is actually of benefit to them. So it's your job to explain, as Edgardo does, to a buyer's agent, why him contacting the listing agent on behalf of your mutual client is of benefit to them. If they are saying it's not, it's only because they don't have enough information to formulate the opinion that it is. Listen, I wrote a book with Bill Dallas a long time ago. Okay, 25 years ago. 25 years ago, we were advertising buy downs on the MLS. Now, I don't profess to know whether some law has changed to make that illegal, but I did see Darren Phyllis's response, which was saying that you explain it to them. I presume that it's not illegal. There must be some type of wording that allows for it to be legal. But these are all just excuses that people are coming up with because they don't want to do something that's uncomfortable. They just want to rinse, wash, and repeat, and it's your job to explain to them and to educate them on how to do things differently. There was another question, temporary buy down subsidy versus permanent buy down subsidy, and why do you prefer the temporary versus the permanent? In my view, and I'd love to see if anybody else feels differently, they're both great strategies. I think that it really depends upon the direction that you think interest rates are going in. So like a permanent buy down strategy would be a great strategy if you think we're probably not going to see better interest rates sometime between now and say 30 months from now, versus a temporary buy down strategy like a 3-2-1 would be a better strategy if you think that there's a probability that that person's going to be able to refinance sometime, say in the next 9, 12, or 15 months, in which case when you do the comparison, and you would want to do it in the true cost comparison tool, showing them side by side, looking at the different period of time that it would take for one to be better versus the other, and then it would be based upon what your forecasting is for interest rates. I don't know if anybody else wants to respond to that and feels any differently or the same.
Jim, Darren, Edgardo?
Yeah,
I was
I would
thinking-
speak to it, just saying it depends on everybody's unique situation and what they need. I mean, a seller paid permanent buy down might be the right answer and solution for that specific client and where they are in their financial journey. A seller paid temporary subsidy might be the right solution for their journey. It's our job to uncover those needs of the client and show up better than anybody else. And this is another teaching from y'all. Like, you know, you taught us how to uncover that. You taught us how to have those conversations. Josh, that link that you're sharing, I've watched that I don't know how many times. Like that's fire. Like I've learned so much from that, and that's what it's all about. Tim, I love what you say. Like I was that guy making those excuses, asking all of the tactical questions, and I was just getting stuck. And like, how do you do it? But how do you do it? But what do you say? At the end of the day, and I love you, Josh. I'm going to steal this again from you again, brother. Is the genius is in the execution. Just go do it. Just go do it, and you will find, and you'll learn, and you'll fail fast, and you'll figure it out, and you'll become the best mortgage advisor in your market, hands down. And it's
Look,
because the teachings from y'all, honestly.
at the end of the day, change is uncomfortable for all of us. You know, for your realtors, for you, it's uncomfortable. And it's your job to make the fear of change, let me rephrase it this way. It's your job to make the fear of complacency greater than the fear of change. So your job is to show them where doing what you're doing right now is actually costing you, and changing to a new way of doing things is actually going to be a better situation for you. But to the extent that you don't do that, nobody's going to want to just freely change on their own, because most of us as human beings don't like to do things different. We like to be comfortable, and we don't like to be uncomfortable. But you got to show them where staying comfortable is actually something you should be more afraid of than doing something new. Edgardo.
Yeah, I would just add that, look, we have the same conversation over and over and over and over again. It's the same 3, 4, 5 conversations over and over again. Like nobody should be better at this conversation than I am. Like no realtor, no buyer, no seller. I don't care if like somebody has, you know, if somebody's 200 years old like Tim and they've bought 6 houses in their lifetime, it doesn't matter. Like they haven't had that conversation more times than me, because I have that conversation 6 times a day. So most lenders have a conversation with their agents out of fear, like Tim is saying. But the truth is, if we all want to achieve the same goal, which is to get that client to the freaking house and get the client to understand that even if the rates are 7%, it's still better than renting on the long term. And we all agree with that. And the math shows that too. Then I promise you, like if we show up like an authority, and we show up and we're like, hey, this is how it's going to be if you work with me. And this is what I'm going to do to help you. And this is how we're going to join forces to make sure that your client gets this house. And this is how I approach this topic. They're going to take the back seat on this, which is where they should take the back seat, which is on the mortgage piece. So my point with this is if we show up with as an authority with this, and if we show up and we understand the 7 scripts that we need to bring into the table, and we just master those 7 scripts, they're gonna, like a realtor is gonna see that as a breath of fresh air, and they're not gonna push back. All that pushback is in your head. It's not in reality, because they're just gonna love the fact that, and what I'm selling to these realtors is like, hey, when I'm at bat, when I'm on the batter box, when it comes to a loan, you don't have to think about this. Like this is a non-issue for you. Like, don't worry about this. Just go get your next client. Let me handle all of this. So if you show up like that, they're going to feel it like that, and they're going to accept that. As far as the buy down and all that, just listen to what Barry and Dan are saying. And if they say the rates are going up, just, you know, give advice that the rates are going up. If they say the rates are going down, give advice that the rates are going down. And that's it. But like Tim, I think Tim said it at the beginning, just ask your client about the exit strategy of this house, because that's going to make, you know, whether this is a long-term investment for them or this is a short-term investment. But my point is like just what their exit strategy is, and that's going to help you make a decision of whether a short-term buy down or a long-term buy down is better for them. That's what I got.
Jim, close us out.
What was coming up for me as you guys were talking is, and Tim, you and I have coached on this for a long time, and I think the thing that you guys be careful of, as you start to learn these new tools, you can continue to prepare to sell for months. I don't want to do all this until I perfected the loan comparison. I want to be able to do it like Josh. I want to be whatever. No, you learn to do this by doing it, right? Don't try and perfect it first before you start using it, because then you're never going to do it. The first few times you do this, it's going to be clunky. Let's be honest, right? But I look at this as the information I'm giving them is going to change their life 100%. Whether I fumble through it or it's not, doesn't come off as sharp, I know the information I'm giving them is going to change their financial future. And if you approach it with that same level of passion, it doesn't matter how good the presentation is. You're giving them something that's going to change their life. And once you view it like that, these tools will change your career. So get into it, the Loan Atlas. Get into it, all these tools they have here. If you get into the signature program, I cannot tell you how much that changed my life when I was there, 2 or 3 years ago. You know, the relationships I have there, the relationship I have with Tim, with Josh, all the people on this call, because I looked at it and said, you know what, I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to go out and I'm going to change my trajectory, change my attitude about this business. And it was the best decision have ever made. And I've been in this business for 22 years. So utilize the tools, but go out there and put them in practice. You know, don't wait until you perfect it. Just go do it. Suck for a little bit. It's going to happen, and you'll be fine.
Love it. The genius is in the execution.
Perfectionism is the strategy that we use to hide from our fears. I want you to remember that.
Times.
Perfectionism is the strategy that we use to hide from the things that we're afraid of. Get out there and sell. Stop trying to be perfect. All that is just a shield that you've put up to try to hide from having to do what you don't want to do. Let's just be honest about it.
Great way to close us out. Over to you, Diana. Thanks so much for having us. It was a pleasure being here with all of you today.
Hey, thank you guys. We love you guys and so appreciate, number one, the time and all the great resources and training. And for all of you that are still with us, over 300 of you stayed 20 minutes past the hour. So it means a lot to us that you take time out of your very busy days. And our wish for you is that you walk away and you start implementing this right away. You know, it's one thing to watch this now and say that was great, but please watch the recording again and start implementing this work right away, like the guys were saying. So again, we'll be emailing you this afternoon with the recording and all the free stuff that was offered today, which was so kind of the guys here. And if you need anything, you just reach out to us. But we will see you on the next one. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody.